Hello and welcome to Computer Science 20S. This is Liberty Basic Unit 1 still. This is Lesson 7. I believe it's the last lesson. This is while loops. So Lesson 7 is while when loops. This is another kind of indefinite loop. In other words, it will loop an indefinite number of times. You're not sure how many times it's going to loop. It loops until something happens or as long as something is still true. There is no scratch counterpart to a while loop. It's basically a while loop is the exact opposite of a do until. While when is used when you do not want a loop to perform at least once. In other words, you want to check the condition at the top of the loop instead of at the bottom. It may not execute at all. It loops while a condition is true. It's handy for quite a number of situations. Some people like to use until, some people like to use whiles. They make more sense to them. But generally, certain situations lend themselves more to whiles, and other certain situations lend themselves more to until. So it's just a matter of what you think works best for your situation. You would use a for next when you want to know how long to loop for. You use a while or an until when it's unknown or it changes each time the program is run. So you're not sure exactly how many times to run the loop. So for example here, suppose someone wants to run a budget program. They're allowed to keep entering values to subtract from the budget amount while the budget amount is greater than still zero. So while you still have money left in your account, you can continue to subtract values from the budget value. Sample run would look something like this. Enter budget amount $100. Enter item 1, $20, $40, $50. Because 20 and 40 are 60, you only have $40 left, and when you get to $50 item, too much, you've overspent your budget. Very simple, basic program. Really wouldn't be used in the real world or anything, but just an example for us to learn about while loops. Here's what the pseudocode looks like. We're going to get the budget amount. We're going to set the item number equal to 1, and while the budget amount is greater than 0, I'm going to get the item value, decrease the budget amount by the item value, and then I end my loop. You end your loop with the word when, and then display the over budget statement. You're going to continue getting new items as long as the budget amount is greater than 0, and as soon as it is less than 0, then you stop and you say, sorry, you're overspent, which is the only way to get out of the loop. So we're going to take that pseudocode and we're going to convert it to code now. So the first item in pseudocode was get the budget amount and set the item number equal to 1. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to input what is your budget amount, and we're going to call it budget amount. Make this a bit wider here so that that shows up on that line. Okay. So what is your budget amount? We're going to call it budget amount. We're going to set our item equal to 1. Then the next thing to do is while the budget amount is greater than 0, get the item value. So it's exactly what I do. While the budget amount is greater than 0, I'm going to print, enter item number, and then it prints the number 1. And I input a new item value. And then I say budget amount equals budget amount minus the item value. And then I add one up, add one more to my number of items. And I continue to do that inside the loop. And as soon as budget amount gets greater than 0, or sorry, while the budget amount is greater than 0, so as soon as the budget amount becomes less than 0, this is no longer true, and the loop stops, and we go into you overspent your budget. You definitely could have used an until for this. Again, some situations you could use either. Some are just sort of better for while, and some are better for until. Okay, now we need to talk about priming the loop. And as you can see here, I've said that it's very important. It's extremely important. I'm going to underline it here. Very, very, very important. Because a while loop checks its condition at the top, the variable that it is checking must have a value before the while. This is known as priming the loop, and I would expect you to know that. It's even a good idea, even if the value is equal to 0 by default, you should still prime the loop by setting that loop value to some value prior to entering the loop, prior to the while. So for example, here in our program, it said input, what is your budget amount? Budget amount, item equals 1, while budget amount is greater than 0. This, getting the budget amount right here, this, I was priming the loop because budget amount has a value before I go and check it. You can't check something that doesn't exist. You must prime the loop, like priming an engine when you're cutting your grass, or priming a pump when you're pumping water. You must give it something to start with. And then inside the loop, you must change that value. So once you've primed it and you've checked it inside the loop, you must change the value, because if you don't change the value, the reason you got into the loop was because budget amount was greater than 0. If I didn't change budget amount, it would never get out of this loop. It would always be bigger than 0. So this one is almost even more important than priming the loop. So it's very, very important that you have two lines in a while loop, both having the value that you're checking in the while loop here. Please see me if you're not sure about what I'm talking about here. This is extremely important, especially if you get yourself into a indefinite loop or an infinite loop. So as I said before, inside the loop, the variable must be changed somehow. It could be a new assigned statement or even another input. Okay, so here's practice assignment number 1. I'd like you to change your guess the high or low number game from lesson 6 to use while, when, rather than do until. So here's what it looked like. We had number equals the int of R&D of 1 times 100 plus 1. We pick a random number, and then here's my do loop until. So I'm doing it until the guess is equal to the number. The opposite of that is while. Okay, you may need an and or. Actually, yeah, you should do this first, and then I'll ask you to pause the video, and then I'll show you the answer. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to try that. I'm now going to show you the answer. So the random number generator is going to be the same. The pick a number between 1 and 100 is going to be the same, and guess count is equal to 0. Immediately, I'm going to change my loop here to a while, and I'm going to enter when right here. Okay, this part should more or less be the same. Now, again, I must prime my loop. I need a guess right here, and do while guess is not equal to number. So the first thing it does, and I'm just going to put some spacing in there to make the code a little bit more readable. First thing it does is it picks a random number. It prints for the player, pick a number between 1 and 100. Guess count is equal to 0. What is your guess? Okay, so it looks for the first guess. This guess count should now be equal to 1 because I'm making a guess right away. Right away, it's going to check to see if the guess is equal to the number. And I need to make sure I spell guess right. Okay, so while guess is not equal to number, you would do something like this. You would say, if guess is greater than number, then print too high. Guess again. Else, if guess is less than the number, then you would print too low. Guess again. And if none of those are true, then you must have got it right, which we won't need to worry about because we've already checked that. So we should be able to end our loop right here. I guess you could probably, this doesn't need to be checked because it's either too high or too low. We've already checked to see if it's right. So we'll just do that. And then it's very important that you have another input here. What is your guess? And then guess count equals guess count plus 1. And then tells you how many guesses it took for you. Let's see if this runs. I'm sure I've got a mistake in here. Okay, once again, my mistake. I'm using some other language here. Other languages might use a do in there, so all you need is the word while. It's just while. While guess is not equal to number, and when. That was my mistake. What is your guess? I'm going to guess 50. It's too low. Guess again. Let's guess 75. Too low. Let's guess 85. Too low. 99. 99 is too high. 95 is too high. 92. Took 6 guesses. So there you go. There's your answer. If you didn't get it, I'll give you a moment here to pause the video and just type that in to see if you can follow that along. Okay, let's move on. So that was practice assignment number 1. You may need to use and or, and you saw a lot of that in Liberty Basics, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to you. And or can be used with ifs, they can be used with whiles, they can be used with untils, and so on. Sometimes you may need brackets. Here's an example here. If x equals 5 and y equals 10, then this will only execute if both x equals 5 and y equals 10. And simply means and, just like it does in English, or means the same. One or the other is true. Okay, If you're using AND and OR, come see me about brackets. You might want to have a look at that. Okay, so hand in number 7, write a program that allows the user to input a 3-digit number as a code or password to open a door. We'll use while when to allow the user to guess up to 5 times, and after that it locks out the user. You'll need an AND in your while here. So while the guess is not equal to the code and you still have guesses left, ask for a new guess. Use the code of 638, just a nice easy one to remember here in Dauphin. And be sure to prime and then change the loop variable. Make sure you save your program before running it. If you get yourself into an infinite loop, there is no getting out of it other than turning your computer off. So be sure to prime and change the loop variable. Your sample code should look kind of like this. What's the passcode? 333. No, that's incorrect. You have 4 guesses left. What's the passcode? 123. No, you have 3 left, and so on. If you get the correct code 638, then yes, you may proceed. There is a, I've also included on Schoology, I've also included a framework one, so if you're having some trouble, you can have a look at that sort of beginner code, fill in the blanks, and that might help you out with hand in number 7. All right, that's the end of lesson number 7, while loops. Good luck, and we'll see you next video.